All right, everybody. So today we're going to take a look at verb tenses that we can gain from the verb expansion rule. Side note, I'm realizing that a lot of my videos are not working correctly, so I'm re-recording a bunch of them. So right now I'm down in my basement. So if it sounds a little weird, that's why that is what's happening. Anyway, so our second worksheet on verb expansion rule is just a good practice to kind of reinforce how to work the verb expansion rule, but also to show us how the verb expansion rule creates the tenses for us. So on your worksheet, on the left-hand column, we have all these verb strings, which we're going to add together. And then on the right side, we're actually going to label them with the verb tense. So you can either do it by yourself and come back and check out the answers, or just kind of follow along with me. Either one's fine. So the first one says the present of understand is to understand. So we would say understand or understands. You can add the S to it if you'd like to. And we would call this the simple present. So when you're gluing a verb together, just think about like maybe putting a subject in front of it. You'd say like he or she understands. We call this the simple present. If I say the present plus be plus ing plus sleep would give us the present of be is not be, but it has to be like is or are or am. And so therefore I could say something like is sleeping, are sleeping, or in this case, am sleeping. I think I'm going to sneeze. God bless me. We call this the present progressive. And we call something progressive because it has an ing to it. To continue on, I can say the past of take is took, and that's what we call the simple past. And then the past of be plus ing plus cry, once again, is not going to be crying, but we have to use the past tense of be, which could be like was crying or were crying. We call this the past progressive. It's past because of was, and it's progressive because of the ing. So this is where some of these terms come from. Next, the present of have plus en plus go should give us either has or have gone. So I use the word have gone, but you could have written has gone, and that would be correct. We call this the present perfect. Something that's perfect is not about perfection, but it's about a period of time. And we'll talk about that here at the very end of these slides. So it's present because of the word have, and it's perfect because of the word have. Figure that one out. Next, we have the past of have plus en plus swim. I'd be impressed if you get this one. So the past of have is had, H-A-D, and the en of swim, as weird as it sounds, is swum. So you'd say had swum. It's one of those weird words. You'd say swim, swam, past tense, swum is what we call the perfect tense. So had swum. You get to use the word swum anytime you have the word have or has or had with it. So you could say have swum, has swum, or in this case, had swum. This is called the past perfect. Past because of the word had, and it's perfect because of the word had. Next is the present of have plus en plus be plus ing plus want should give us either have or has been wanting. So have been wanting or has been wanting. We call this the present perfect progressive. It's progressive because of ing. It's present because of the word have and not had. And it's also perfect because of the word have. If I said the past of have plus en plus be plus ing plus put gives us had been putting, which is just a stupid verb. And it's progressive because of ing. It's perfect because of had, and it's past because of had. So we call this the past perfect progressive. The present of will plus begin is what we really sometimes will call the future tense, and that gives us will begin. We're also going to refer to this as the emphatic mood. But we could say will begin because it sounds very futuristic. It hasn't happened yet, and so therefore we will begin, and we call that the future, even though really it's the present of the verb will. And I could say the present of will plus have plus en plus know gives us will have known. And you start kind of figuring out the patterns here. Will kind of gives us the idea of future. Have gives us the idea of perfect. So we call this the future perfect tense. And you could continue on. You could say the future perfect progressive. And there's all kinds of other tenses. But this are the basics that I think I want us to know. So let's venture from this. If you want to take either your notes or the back of this worksheet, whatever it is, but I want to capture sort of a timeline so we can understand when these verb tenses actually happen. All right, so let's start off with a basic timeline. Rid of Alonzo here. And let's simply give ourselves a place which we're going to call present. So that's where we are, the present. And therefore, everything before that is what we would call the past. And this is one of the reasons why we say there is no such thing as sort of the future, because you can't measure it. The future, I guess, would be sort of this time in front of the present, but it doesn't really exist because it hasn't happened yet. And so it's hopeful that the future is going to be there. But the thing is, it's not to get philosophical with you, but once you get here, the future's not there because now that's the present. So the future's always something in front of you that hasn't happened yet. And when you get there, it's actually still ahead of you. And so you never can reach the future. It's kind of weird. Anyway, let's continue on. Then we have what we call these perfect tenses. And so I want you to know, and this is really important, is I want you to know that we measure the past in different degrees. So the past is this huge band of time here. But the question is, like, what part of the past? Do you mean like yesterday, last period, or do you mean like years ago? So we actually break up the past in different degrees. And that's what the perfect tense means. When I say perfect, basically, what it means is a period of time in the past. So when I say present perfect, it kind of sounds deceptive because it sounds like it's in the present tense, but it isn't. The present perfect is the most recent past. So it's this band of time up to the present, but it's pretty recent past. So once again, it's like last period, yesterday, last week. It's the most recent present. Then we have the past perfect, which is the farthest past you can think of. So the farthest past would be the past perfect, and that's way long ago. So once again, we've taken the past and we've broken it up into the most recent past and the most far away, or the, I don't know how else to put it, the long ago past. On top of that, the other thing I want you to remember are these weird progressive tenses. And progressive tenses, we don't necessarily use them all the time the right way, but there are particular times where we should use the progressive tense. So what this shows us is, if I think about this thing in orange here, this is the past perfect progressive. And all that means is something happened a long time ago, it happened for a period of time, and then it stopped. Or I have the present perfect progressive, which is something happened yesterday, it happened for a period of time, and then it stopped. We have the present progressive, which is it happened in the present and it's still happening. Like I am learning. Like I learned, I'm continuing to learn, so I am learning. The past progressive means it happened sometime in the past and it happened for a period of time, like was crying, and then it stopped. So what we have is we have different degrees of how long or how let's try this again. We have different degrees of like when something actually happened, whether it was the past perfect, the past, or the present perfect. We can also measure, did it happen just once or did it happen for a period of time, meaning the progressives. And we also have the present as well as the present progressive, meaning it either happened or it's happened and it's continuing to happen. And these are the most important ones. The future, once again, is sitting way out here, but there's other ways of actually talking about the future, as we're going to get into, once again, moods and talk about what we call the emphatic mood. Okay, so capture this in your head. This will be important for us. That's all.